Picture this. China's largest airline just ordered an aircraft that doesn't exist yet. Not a prototype sitting in some hangar, but a plane still in flight testing, one that could obliterate Boeing's dominance in the world's fastest-growing aviation market. The order came through anyway. Why would Air China, a flag carrier responsible for connecting a fifth of humanity to the world, bet its future on an unproven jet? The answer reveals something far bigger than aviation, something that's been quietly brewing for years, and it starts with a crisis half a world away. When Russia seized Crimea and carved up eastern Ukraine, international sanctions didn't just freeze bank accounts, they grounded planes. Moscow's access to modern wide-body aircraft like the Boeing 777 and Airbus A3 vanished overnight. For a nation sprawling across 11 time zones, heavily reliant on trade and air transport, this wasn't an inconvenience, it was a catastrophe. Vital international routes ground to a halt. Russia's civil aviation teetered on the edge of collapse. A dangerous void emerged, a logistical black hole threatening to sever connections between East and West. But that crisis became someone else's opportunity. Deep inside a classified facility in China, engineers were already sketching something audacious. The CR929 program, now simply called the C929. This wasn't just another aviation project. This was a $2 billion survival pact between two powers watching the West try to isolate them, weaken them, and eventually push them into irrelevance. The deal was elegant in its simplicity. China would provide the funding and industrial muscle. Russia would contribute its aerospace expertise and aerodynamic genius. Together, they'd build a 280-seat jet capable of rivaling, maybe even surpassing, the Boeing 787 Dreamliner and Airbus A350. On paper, the alliance looked bulletproof. In reality, it was a powder keg. By 2021, as tanks rolled into Ukraine, the partnership began fracturing. A year later, Russia officially walked away, abandoning the joint venture and plunging the C929 program into chaos. Sources whispered that Russian aerospace engineers had been yanked from civilian projects and reassigned to military work, freezing progress. Other rumors suggested China had demanded full control of engine technology, a line Moscow refused to cross. Whatever the truth, the alliance shattered, leaving COMAC holding an unfinished dream and a mountain of doubt. What can China actually accomplish without Russia? That question hung over the project like a storm cloud. Then, on February 24th, COMAC dropped a bombshell that rippled through the global aviation industry. The C929 had entered flight testing. Even more shocking, the entire design was developed using China's independent intellectual property. Before the aircraft even finished its tests, Air China placed the first order. And here's the truly fascinating part. Air China's executives hinted they had special reasons for this early commitment. Reasons that, if revealed, might fundamentally change how the world views China's aviation ambitions. By the way, please take a second and hit that subscribe button. We know you're going to love what's coming next. When COMAC finally unveiled the C929's technical specifications, perceptions shifted instantly. This wasn't just a stretched C929. Hidden beneath that metallic skin was something far more ambitious. A genuine wide-body jet engineered for ultra-long haul routes like Beijing to New York or Shanghai to London. With capacity for 280 passengers and a staggering 12,000-kilometer range, this aircraft didn't just grow beyond its smaller sibling. It stepped directly into the arena dominated by the Boeing 787 Dreamliner and Airbus A350. What truly grabbed the attention of aviation analysts was the materials and performance envelope. The C929 incorporates over 50% carbon fiber composite materials, 4 times the 12% used on the C929, matching the construction standards of the 787 and A350. Combined with 15% titanium alloys, the airframe achieves a structure that's simultaneously lighter and stronger, dramatically improving aerodynamic efficiency while slashing overall weight. The payoff: superior fuel efficiency, reduced emissions, and one of the most environmentally conscious wide-body aircraft ever conceived. This blend of strength and lightness enables the C929 to achieve its remarkable 12,000-kilometer range, connecting cities separated by half the planet without refueling, a capability that places it firmly among the world's elite long-range airliners. The design itself commands attention: elegant, purposeful, unapologetically bold. With a wingspan approaching 65 meters, this Chinese widebody actually exceeds the Dreamliner's dimensions, requiring exceptionally sophisticated aerodynamics to balance lift, stability, and fuel economy. Inside, the aircraft's 5.5-meter wide cabin surpasses both the 787's 5.28 meters and the A350's 5.34 meters, delivering noticeably more space and comfort on marathon intercontinental flights. This extra width translates to broader seats, wider aisles, and a more open, breathable atmosphere, critical advantages on 15-hour journeys where comfort defines the passenger experience. COMAC didn't stop at passenger amenities. The aircraft features a fully digital cockpit, intelligent lighting systems, and flexible cabin configurations designed to optimize safety, efficiency, and the in-flight experience. Even the manufacturing process represents a technological achievement. Over 2 million individual components, 3,500 completed test assemblies, and a real-time health monitoring system capable of diagnosing malfunctions mid-flight, a feature still absent from many Western aircraft. Taken together, these innovations transform the C929 from just another airplane into something more significant, a statement, a declaration from China's aviation industry that it has entered a new era, a symbol of pride, ambition, and technological confidence. Shanghai is sending the world an unmistakable message. We are ready to compete directly with the aerospace giants of the West. Beyond its technological achievements, Air China emphasized the aircraft's strategic and patriotic importance when it became the launch customer. Air China is the only national flag carrier of China, and adopting a domestically produced wide-body aircraft represents both our responsibility and our commitment to that role. By integrating this wide-body jetliner into its fleet, Air China isn't just advancing toward world-class status, it's accelerating China's broader objective of high-quality, self-reliant growth in aviation. In many ways, the C929 isn't merely an airplane. It's China's challenge to the established order of the skies. Despite remarkable progress, the C929 continues facing persistent skepticism. Can it legitimately be called a made-in-China aircraft? That doubt isn't baseless. While COMAC has consistently emphasized self-reliance and technological independence, reality tells a more complicated story. According to recent reports, this ambitious wide-body jet still depends heavily on Western technology. The South China Morning Post noted that COMAC has signed multiple agreements with foreign suppliers, including partnerships with France's Safran to co-develop critical systems like braking and oxygen control, plus contracts with US-based Crane Aerospace and Electronics for cabin door sensors. Among 9 key avionics suppliers, only 4 are Chinese, the rest are foreign. This dependency offers obvious short-term advantages. By integrating proven Western components, COMAC can enhance reliability, accelerate development, and align with international safety standards, all essential for earning certification from EASA and the FAA, and for building credibility with global airlines. Yet, the flip side reveals a more troubling reality. The C929 experience serves as a cautionary tale. Dependence on Western systems leaves Chinese aircraft vulnerable to geopolitical pressure and export sanctions, placing their fate partially in foreign hands. A single policy shift or trade restriction could disrupt production, delay deliveries, and undermine Shanghai's narrative of technological sovereignty, the very story COMAC has worked relentlessly to establish. More critically, without complete intellectual property ownership of core systems, the aircraft cannot truly be considered fully Chinese. Instead, it exists as a hybrid, part Chinese, part Western. Even worse, it risks being dismissed as merely derivative of Western designs, much like the C929 was initially perceived. So, while the C929 represents China's rising ambition in global aviation, the path toward genuine independence, toward Shanghai's dream of becoming a true aerospace superpower, remains long, uncertain, and filled with obstacles. But those doubts may be about to evaporate. Here's why. In one decisive move, COMAC has effectively silenced concerns about Western component dependence. For years, that reliance was the Achilles heel of Shanghai's aerospace ambitions. When Western nations tightened export controls, they strangled the supply of crucial parts for the C929, a jet that was 60% domestically made but still powered by an American-French engine. With the C929, Shanghai has executed a game-changing maneuver to eliminate that vulnerability permanently, seizing control of every critical technology from airframe to the absolute core of power, the engine. That core is the CJ2000, China's first indigenous high-bypass turbofan engine and a stunning symbol of technological awakening. This is far more than a substitute for Western designs. It's a declaration of capability, engineered to rival and potentially exceed the world's greatest engines. Originally conceived for the C919 but delayed by stability and certification challenges, the CJ2000 now returns with renewed purpose aboard the C929. Flight tests are scheduled for 2029. If these trials succeed, Shanghai will cross a historic threshold, achieving complete independence from Western propulsion technology, a feat that even Japan and Russia have long pursued but rarely or never fully attained. Technically, the CJ2000 is a masterpiece of modern engineering. It generates up to 35 tons of thrust, matching giants like the Rolls-Royce Trent 1000 and General Electric GE-NX, while delivering extraordinary efficiency. Its use of next-generation materials and advanced cooling systems enables higher operating temperatures and lower fuel consumption, achieving a 5 to 7% fuel efficiency advantage over Western rivals. For airlines, that translates to reduced operating costs. For passengers, it means a quieter, smoother, cleaner journey across oceans. Physically, the CJ2000 is massive, with a 3-meter fan diameter and total height of 4.55 meters, actually exceeding the mighty 33-ton GE-NX that powers Boeing's 787 Dreamliner. Its composite fan blades and innovative noise reduction design make it not just powerful, but remarkably quiet, dramatically cutting cabin noise and vibration. At cruising altitude, the engine's fuel consumption outperforms many international competitors, giving it a decisive advantage in efficiency and long-range endurance. Reaching speeds up to 980 kilometers per hour, the CJ2000 fuses raw strength with refined precision, a harmony of power, speed, and silence that redefines what a Chinese-made engine can achieve. For COMAC, This represents both strategic and symbolic victory. The CJ-2000 elevates the C929 from promising newcomer into a fully self-reliant global challenger. It demolishes the old assumption that China must depend on foreign innovation for its core technologies. Even Western observers now acknowledge the C929 as a legitimate rival to Boeing and Airbus, and the CJ-2000 may be the engine that finally shifts the balance of power in the skies. Nothing matches a nation determined to succeed under relentless pressure, especially one as powerful and resourceful as China, a country equipped with everything needed for comprehensive development. If the C929 succeeds, it could become the biggest disruption to the wide-body market in decades. With its long range, high efficiency, and breakthrough domestic engine, this aircraft stands positioned to challenge the dominance of Western giants, especially Boeing's 787 Dreamliner, the very model it was designed to rival. For airlines seeking alternatives amid rising costs and political tensions, a competitive Chinese option could be transformative. And if COMAC manages to deliver on performance, reliability, and certification, the C929 may not only capture domestic loyalty, but also carve out significant global market share, signaling that the age of Western monopoly in wide-body aviation might finally be approaching its end.